example, practically is maybe if there's a way that I could sign up clients without me necessarily needing to talk to clients. So how would I be able to create these funnels and videos and things that I'd be able to duplicate myself over and over? So I started focusing on more of those scalable actions. I started creating a funnel.
Sam, I'm so excited to have you on the show today, and I'm going to ask you to take it back for me. So, when did you first know you wanted to become a lawyer?
I didn't actually. While I was waiting for my bar results, I was contemplating. I'm like, do I really want to be a lawyer? It was the wrong time to start having those questions. But I realized that there's a difference between traditional lawyer and being a non-traditional virtual lawyer. And I kind of fell into that world, and that's the world that I've been in the last 7 8 years. Hopefully, we'll be talking about that and kind of building your own path and building your own, way of running a law firm is kind of my thing.
Yeah, and we're going to talk a lot about this. I think a word that's going to probably pop up a few times is leverage, and I think what you're doing is just so intriguing, and I'm really excited about this conversation. Not only to give our audience value, but also to learn a lot myself. And I heard this when I was doing some research. And, despite your wild success in the marketing world, you don't identify as a marketer or consultant. You're a lawyer, and so let's talk about Mollaei Law. In your first year, you retained 23 clients. Tell us about that and kind of and what you started to learn.
Sure. So right after I passed the bar, basically had a conversation with a law firm owner who basically was a young law firm owner. He's like, oh, yeah, I've been on my own, kind of figured it out, and I made it work. So that was kind of opening up my eyes. I'm like, hey, I could also create my own law firm. But when I started my law firm, I had I had no mentor, I had no idea how to get clients at all. So I created my first website, taught myself SEO, content marketing, how to create the perfect website, all that stuff. And I basically had to teach myself how to how to figure this out. And through that really exposed me to everything else that we'll be talking about today. It kind of has a little lost my train of thought because you said, sorry, what was the question? The exact question that
Yeah,
you had?
yeah, yeah. So basically, you retained that first year like 23 clients, and
Yeah.
then your second year you really unlocked a unique method of case acquisition. So kind of what happened from the 23 to like this new tactic that you developed?
Exactly. Yeah. My first year, I remember exactly to the dollar how much I made. I made $18,400 or so. And then it was until I read this book by Tim Ferriss, The 4 Hour Work Week, which I think is a game changer for a lot of young attorneys. Basically, exposed me to three key principles that I always talk about. First is a virtual uh, model, a virtual business, which I essentially just turned into a virtual law firm. Like great running running a law firm from your laptop. Second, automation or automated business. So I applied it for my own law firm. How can I make this law firm run in its own? And third, which we'll be talking about, scalable. How can you be able to scale yourself out so that the law firm doesn't depend on you? So, for example, practically is maybe if there's a way that I could sign up clients without me necessarily needing to talk to clients. So, how would I be able to create these funnels and videos and things that I'd be able to duplicate myself over and over? So, I started focusing on more of those scalable actions. Started creating a funnel so that every time a lead would want to sign up for me, I would go force them to watch this video, and then I would get them scheduled for on a call. So I kind of made a rule for myself. I will only do scalable actions. And then when I started doing those scalable actions, that's when really I was able to duplicate myself and duplicate my results. And then ever since then, my first 3 or 4 years, I was able to quadruple my results, 18K, then 90K, then beyond that 360, et cetera, et cetera, and doing it over and over. Now my growth is about 2 to 2.5x every year with, again, the same principles, scalable, automated, and virtual.
So the first thing that came to mind, and have you listened to or you read Naval Ravikant?
Oh yeah, I love Naval. Yeah,
Okay, of
I'm him.
course.
Yeah,
So Naval, he talks about leverage, right? He talks about people leverage, media leverage, technology, and the one that I think that you've really unlocked that I'm excited to dig into is the technology and the AI, and just how fascinating that can be uh, as it applies to leverage. And I'd kind of like to just hear your just overall thought process on the different forms of leverage there before we jump in.
yeah. This actual video that Chris is talking about is actually a video that I shared with our legal fund mentorship students. I'm like, this is such a high value. If you really understand this video, it will be a game changing for your life. And what he shares is that you wanna find the leverage in your life. And in this day, remember making this video 2022, what are the two biggest leverages? It's two things, either content or tech. Content, if you're by making videos or writing content, you could have hundreds of people consuming that. So one action for many outputs, for many results. Also, tech is you create one tool, one thing that could, bring about 10 or 100x results from it. So that's the epiphany. Your biggest leverage right now in life they can have is either content or tech. If you can use both or use one of them to be able to, again, grow really fast, that's where it's at.
Yeah, and kind of expound on that. Like this podcast itself is leverage, right? It's distribution, it's tech, and as opposed to me talking to, one, just me and Sam having a conversation where we're getting to share it with 10,000 subscribers every single month, and it's really exciting. And so by year 5, you generate over 7,000 clients. So this technique that we're talking about is, you went from 23 to over 7,000. You created multiple 6 and 7 figure virtual law firms, like, so to speak, so take us through this process. Like, where did this discovery, begin? How did you go from 23 to 7,000 clients plus, take us through this process.
I've basically found patterns in creating a successful law firm. There's the same components. The first part is client generation, just generating clients. Client generation, for me, I always think about it as 3 parts. It's the traffic, basically where your leads are coming from. Then there's the system that converts them. I call it the funnel. And the third aspect is like the automation or automated ways to be able to follow up with your leads to turn them into clients. So client generation is all about that. I go find the top source that brings me the most clients. Usually for me, I like paid ads. Go crank that up. Then second is send them to a system or a way to be able to convert them into leads and clients. And third is have some kind of automation system again to follow up with them. So I set that up. The next is serving the clients, or sometimes I like to refer out the clients if I can. For that, I use a lot of virtual assistants and basically building out a virtual team. I do sometimes still have directors and managers in-house, but most of the virtual staff, when it comes to signing up the clients, serving the clients, doing parts of the marketing, client generation, gathering Google reviews, all that stuff is all VAs these days, virtual assistants. And the third part is, which is crucial for me, is collecting as many reviews and Google reviews as I possibly can for each of these law firms. And if I can set up these 3 parts, bring in the clients, serve the clients, and get a Google reviews, I'm able to replicate this over and over across different practice types. But essentially, it's the same thing, right? It's the same thing over and over. And I was able to duplicate that over and over. I have about 6 or 7 active virtual law firms that are consistently every day signing up clients, serving the clients, or referring them out, getting a lot of Google reviews, rinse and repeat over and over. And then, while that's going on, I'm also, as a passion project, I teach this to other lawyers about how they can also do this for themselves. And now I'm seeing success stories from our students that are doing the same exact thing, kind of understanding the system, creating it for themselves, and be able to see the results of this.
And this is so different. So there's several things that I want to pick at here. It's like, because first you refer to this, remote law firm, this virtual law firm, not even remote, virtual, right? So versus like the traditional brick and mortar. So first of all, let's talk about the advantages and disadvantages of the virtual law firm. And how do you distinguish that, right? You said you had like 6, are they different entities, different, S corps, or however you filed, like how do you distinguish these? What are they?
I usually first want to make sure that I'm generating the clients for it. So I make sure I get the client generation down. Then, or if I already know what it is, then at that point, then I go create the separate entity. But yes, they are all of them separate entities. That's one commonality. And another commonality is they all have one director, basically a business manager, director, implementer, whatever you want to call it. One person in charge of the business, make sure that the team is doing what they're supposed to be doing. We have a goal. Everybody's sticking to their goals, etc., and the business is growing.
Absolutely. Okay, and then we'll hit each of those pillars, right? So the biz dev, the client experience, and then the review. So let's talk about the biz dev.